Hey SR Lounge friends, this is Post-Production Pi, Editor-in-Chief for srlounge.com. Welcome to another installment of our weekly Ordinary to Extraordinary Raw Edit, featuring the SR Lounge Lightroom Preset System V5. Whew. Alright, so as always, we're going to be demonstrating how to create our effect with the preset system first, and then we'll be going through all the actual settings just to help everybody understand what's going on with each look and effect. That way, those that have the Lightroom preset system can benefit. Those that don't, well, you all can benefit as well. Now, if you are interested in learning more about the SR Lounge Lightroom preset system, then just click the link below in the description. It'll take you right over to the SR Lounge store where you can read more about it. So let's get started. In this video, we're going to be going over our HDR black and white looks for this image. And this image that we're working on was taken out in China. This is actually at a factory out in Canton. It's a cloth factory where they make bags and so forth. It's actually a nice factory. Well, it's one of the nicer factories. You look at it and you're like, well, that's not a very nice factory. But it's funny because when I visit factories out here, they're not very nice either. Factories in general are just not very nice places to work. All right, so this is on a 5D Mark III. It was shot on a 70-200 at f2.8, and the reason it was shot on the 70-200 at 70 was because we wanted to get that compression. We wanted to really pull in the background. We wanted to have a nice foreground that kind of led into a background that was compressed closely. We shot this at 1/50th of a second. I think I shot a few of them because it is a fairly low shutter speed. I wanted to make sure we had a sharp image. It was at f2.8 and ISO 800. If we zoom in, we should have a pretty sharp image. Yeah, not bad. All right, so that's the settings. We don't need to worry too much about really any of the settings there because we're not going to be doing anything too crazy. But let's jump into our vivid presets. And with this image, let's say that we are just importing it in. We have so many different black and white looks. I love the vivid look. It works great. I love the crushed look. It's going to work great on this image as well. It's really a matter of style and preference, but let's show you what it would look like with the HDR black and whites. Now, sometimes when you're post-producing a black and white image, you want to get a little bit of boost in the overall tones. You want to basically lift out the tones while kind of applying contrast, and so we basically want a higher dynamic range black and white image. So we can just cycle through these different versions of the black and white effect, and we can see which HDR level is enough for us. Now, on the HDR Max, it's a little bit too much again for my taste, but I like this black and white. And what it does is it allows me to kind of drop my exposure a little bit, keep an overall dark image while still retaining detail over here in kind of our foreground. It looks really nice overall in the image. It's kind of an effect that I kind of dig personally. But that's just me. So let's go ahead and let's make some other adjustments to this image. I'm going to go up to our contrast. I'm not going to really do anything with our curve because we don't really need to. And this is just a demonstration of the vivid HDR black and white. Once again, this is a portrait image. I mean, it's an environmental portrait, but it's a portrait image, and we want a more vivid look because it has more of that grungy look. But if we wanted, we could apply, a softer look to this image. I'm going to show you what that looks like just for giggles. All right, so let's go ahead and apply, like say, the HDR heavy black and white. And you can see that it's just a much softer overall look compared to the vivid look. So the vivid is definitely where we want to be for this. Let's boost our contrast all the way to max, and this is looking really nice. I might also want to take our detail up a little bit. So let's go from, let's say, go to at least medium. I think medium looks really nice. Okay, so we have a great amount of overall contrast in the image. We still have retained detail in these deep dark shadows, which adds a lot to the overall kind of tone and really just the texture of the image. I feel like it adds a lot to the texture. I like that word. I'm going to use it a lot. All right, so let's go and make some other local adjustments. We have 3 clicks over here on the left side. We don't need any special effects. We're not going to do any film and lens. If you wanted to add grain, you can, but I'm going to leave that really up to you guys. We just want to demonstrate how this looks and works. All right, so it's going over to the right. We're going to go and select a graduate filter. I'm going to do a little bit of burning here. Let's go to a -0.5. I'm going to pull it down, just down to the light. So let me actually delete that one. I want it just down and over the light so we kind of darken everything that's not beneath the lights, just to kind of amplify our darkness out here where the lights are not. All right, I'm going to do the same thing over the left side. I'm just going to pull this in so we kind of darken everything that's not right in this immediate working area, and I can actually pull that down quite a bit. It gives us this illusion like this working space or this workshop is very dark just right outside of the area that she's working, and I kind of dig that. It has a really nice vibe to it. Again, we can do the same thing with a radial filter or just adjustment brush, just painting in where we want You know, it's just a matter of preference. Here it's easier because we don't really care about anything as along this whole diagonal, so it's easier just dragging it over everything. But if we did want to be more precise with it, let's say that we do, I'm going to go and delete that. I'm going to do the exact same thing with just an adjustment brush just to show you how it'd be done. So I'm going to go with a larger brush and we're just going to paint it in and just do the exact same thing. This time, you know, I have a little more control because I don't have to drag it all the way in to a specific point all the way across the image. So if I want to just remove it from, say, a certain area like this part of the sewing machine, I can do that and have a little more control there. Whatever tool works, again, the 80-20 rule, it'll always save you 80% of the work, or sorry, I'm sorry, 80% of the effect, 20% of the work. We don't want to do 80% of the work for 20% of the effect. That would be, well, not working very efficiently. So let's do a graduate filter again on this side. All I'm going to do is set it to the -0.5. We're going to pull in from right here just to darken this right side a bit. I'm going to pull it down even a little bit more. All right, so now we have this great overall look with this, we have detail in the shadow still, but we have a very high contrast black and white image. It looks awesome. I absolutely love this. So let's see the before and the after. Here's the before. I'm hitting backslash to check that out. Here's the after. Great looking high dynamic range HDR image here. If we want more again in the shadows, we can always lift it up. You can use the preset. You can just adjust the sliders. It's up to you, but we're basically there. All right, so let's go over the different developed settings. We have our exposure set to pretty much 0. We can even leave it 0 if we want. It's not a big adjustment here that we have. We have contrast all the way up to 100, and that's to offset the highlights, whites, and shadows and blacks adjustment for that HDR preset. We are in black and white mode, which means that we switched the HCL over to black and white. You can do that again by hitting V. I assume that all you guys know how to get to the black and white, so we don't talk about that too much. Clarity we have boosted to +30. We have a tone curve that's adding just a nice subtle amount of contrast, and going down here we have our detail at 71.5, 10, 30. Noise reduction at 20, and really for this image we don't need any noise reduction. Why? Because, well, this is a very journalistic image. It's a very grungy image to begin with, and having some of this grunge is totally okay. So whether you want to leave it on or off, you know, it's really up to you. And I think for me, well, let me check out what the shadow detail looks like without it on. I think it looks totally fine. Having a little bit of grain is totally fine. I'd actually add a little bit of grain to this image, to be honest. That's just me personally. You know what? Let's do it. Let's add a tiny bit. Let's add a light amount of film grain. See if we like just that light amount. I like just that light, soft film grain in this one. We have no lens vignetting. Why? Because we kind of customize the darkening of the edges with our brushes and our graduated filters, so we really don't need any other lens vignetting going on. Grain is set to a light amount of 30, 30, 30, and that's it for this overall effect. So again, here is our before and here's our after HDR effect with our selective dodging and burning. And, you know, do whatever you guys' heart's content. If we want to drop a little radial filter to kind of adjust the focus, we could do that. We could do whatever you guys want. But I'm going to leave this right here. I like it right here. So that's it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next episode.